This is going back to the bread and butter, getting away from this division. We do not like what has happened where we can't even go to Thanksgiving dinner with our uncle because you end up in some weird fight that is unnecessary.
I think people only laugh if they're not in those fights. Imagine a Thanksgiving or a holiday or any occasion in 2024 without any of those weird fights with your father or your uncle or your cousin. And what if your father is, for instance, someone like Rudy Giuliani? That is a uniquely painful and complicated situation our next guest finds herself in. Well, to the world, Rudy Giuliani is, among other things, Donald Trump's former attorney, who, according to special counsel Jack Smith's filing out just this week, a desperate Donald Trump turned to because he knew Giuliani was, quote, willing to falsely claim victory and spread knowingly false claims of election fraud, end quote. To Caroline Giuliani, he's also her dad who she feels she has lost to Donald Trump. Caroline writes this in a brand new piece for Vanity Fair, quote, watching my dad's life crumble since he joined forces with Donald Trump has been extraordinarily painful, both on a personal level and because his demise feels linked to a dark force that threatens to once again consume America. Take it from me, she writes, Trump destroys everything he touches. I saw it happen to my family. Don't let it happen to yours or to our country. Kamala Harris will guide us into a brighter future, but only if we unite behind her. Joining us now is Caroline Giuliani. David and the Rev are still here. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
What is this like to be telling the truth about loving your father, but also using your platform to endorse Kamala Harris?
Yeah, it was really challenging to figure out how to express these feelings and figure out if I had the strength to share them. But I think for a lot of this election, I've been watching with so many Americans in disbelief and horror at the idea of a 34-time convicted felon who refused to participate in the peaceful transfer of power being so close to the presidency again. But that disbelief also paralyzed me for a while. And I think there just came a moment where I was thinking about my future children, who I very much hope to have. And I saw these two paths for our country, one under Donald Trump, which was full of destruction and cruelty, and one under Kamala Harris, in which women can have autonomy over their bodies again, in which our government recognizes that climate change is real and is doing something about it. A government who respects gay people and trans people and people of color and women and people with disabilities and doesn't treat them like second-class citizens, and also a government that remains a democracy, because that will not happen if we elect Trump again. I think it's really important to remember that this is about so much more than the next 4 years, because the type of damage that Trump will inflict a second time around may not be reversible. I don't think it's something we'll be able to just fix in 4 years. He will change the fabric of our institutions, and that is something that we may not be able to come back from.
Caroline, how does he get people like your dad to help him do all those things?
You know, I can't really speak to what is in other people's minds, or why they make the decisions that they make. I think power is very alluring, but I think the more important question is why he's caused such division among so many families in this country. I mean, you were just talking about it before I came on, and it's really true. This is so relatable, having this chasm in your family over Trump. And the reason for that is because he spews this toxic cruelty. And when you are a woman or a person of color or a gay person or a trans person, and someone that you love supports a man like that, it is really hard to reconcile that support with their love for you. So I want healing for our country, and I do want us to find the common humanity in one another, even when we disagree about politics, even now. But if Trump becomes the president again, that will not be possible. Kamala Harris is our only path to healing. And I think she presents a really beautiful path to healing for us.
Caroline, you just said something so profound. I don't want to speed through it. One of the ways that Trump has sort of turned up the toxicity in America is to divide families along these fault lines where the things that you may hold most dear and precious, your own family or your safety, are threatened by someone you love to pieces, supporting the very person that threatens you. What do you think Trump's allure, and maybe it is just simply the power, but what do you think it is that makes smart and accomplished men like your dad choose Trump over the people and issues they love? Like your dad, you know, the first thing you said was Trump is someone with 34 felonies. Your father's known the world over as a prosecutor and a law and order guy, for better and for worse. I mean, he's all in with someone who is diametrically opposed to what his brand used to be. Yeah, it's a hard phenomenon to understand. It definitely is. I view Trump as a disease. And I think it's really important to remember that with every disease, prevention is a much more effective strategy than treatment. And I really fear that if we elect Trump again, that, you know, I thought we had cured ourselves of it the first time, but it doesn't seem like we have. And I think if he becomes the president again, we may have a terminal illness in our country. And that really, really scares me.